Hi. So let's assume this page is at the size of a gigantic building. And now this is who you are. Or I am, yeah. So there's a concept in philosophy known as cosmic insignificance, which says that we are nothing but as a size of dust to this gigantic universe. And the purpose and the reason behind this philosophical aspect was you, me, and everyone else is so tiny in this universe, so we should not worry about our problems. All the issues you have about your job, your personal relationships, issues, and all the things on in school also you're not doing well, and everything else, you should not be worried about that just because we are a size of a dust to this universe. Now, since years, I have been agreeing to this philosophy, and I thought, like, maybe, yeah, that's true. Maybe we should not be worried about our problems because, we're so small to this universe. But the other day, I was watching the podcast from a great physicist known as Neil deGrasse Tyson. And in this podcast, he mentioned that during our lives, every day we lose or millions of our cells dies and they regenerate again. So that means if you have spent 1 year of life, probably by the end of this year, you're gonna meet a new body, or in a way, you are not the same person you had last year. Now the question arises, if this entire body is completely different this year, why I feel the same as last one? Why I feel that nothing has changed at all? And the main reason behind that is consciousness. Now what the consciousness is? Consciousness is nothing but it lets us live in the moment and we know that who we are. For example, if you are asleep and any big or small news has happened in the universe, we really do not care because we are kind of dead, or we kind of just not alive that point of time, or we are not conscious. And the reason is, even if before I wake up, anything happens to this world, I might not be the concerned person that point of time. So that is why I started thinking that maybe this philosophy of cosmic intelligence is not right. Because even if I am at the size of a dust to this universe does not mean to me anything if I'm not alive or I'm not conscious at all. So that means even if my problem seems very small to this universe, that problem still is a big issue to me. And definitely, I will be worried about those small issues as well. Even if I have lost my phone charger, even my girlfriend or my wife just fought with me, or any other issue I'm having with my friends, that is going to cause trauma to me equally. Now, when I was studying about this topic, when I was planning to make this video about this cosmic insignificancy, because I wanted to learn more about this, the next question arose in my mind was, what are ways we actually respond to these kind of situations? So meanwhile I was studying about this topic, I wanted to read more about this, and that's where I thought that what are ways we humans tackle or handle our situation whenever we get something, whenever we get into trouble. Now, we humans have been living on this planet Earth for more than 1 million years, I'm sure. Personally, I have also spent around 3 decades here already. And yet, we do not know how to react or solve those problems. I would take my example. I'm sure this happens to all of us. I have entered into 30, and whenever something uncontrolled and adverse situation happened with me, my first reaction is almost uncontrolled and I lose my shit. I do not know that how should I react, or at least that point of time what should I do. Now that's so stupid, but that's true with all of us, almost all of us. Now this phenomenon, this medical phenomenon known as amygdala hijack. So amygdala hijack is an immediate or overwhelming emotional response where the brain's threat center, So it's a part of a brain which takes care of situation where something happens, some stressful situation has happened. You might have heard about fight or flight. So these kind of situations are where this amygdala truly activates. And this amygdala hijack happens when our brain tracks down and just sense our surroundings, and it does not find that we are in a safe place, or we just feel threatened by it. So it overrides our intelligence, and our intelligence is taken care by prefrontal cortex. It's also part of a brain which is responsible, or which helps us to take rational decisions. It helps you to analyze a situation. Now, this is true that most of us lose our shit whenever we find ourselves in some stressful situation. But I feel there is some exceptions to it. Some people are able to manage these kind of risks, to manage these kind of uncontrolled situation or environment better than others. And one reason I could think of is due to maturity, which makes sense because the more you are exposed towards different situations or different uncomfortable situations, your brain trains itself just like AI. So the more situations you have been into, you are less likely to be losing your. Now, one way which I feel works is maturity. So, the more situations you are exposed to, less instances will be there in your life. You feel threatened. And probably in all those situations, most of the situations at least, your brain will still keep on working intelligently and feeling less threatened and feeling less vulnerable unless something crazy happens. Now, I have a good example of this, as this comes from my family, from my father. And last year, I got married, and both me and my wife, we were just so waiting for this moment of entrance, and everyone else was also waiting for us. And when the moment arrived, it started raining, and most of our arrangements were under the sky. There was a big stage, there was huge lights, and everything was shining, and there was a cute sofa, I would say, where we were supposed to sit. And when the entrance happened, it started raining, and everything was ruined. And honestly, it made me upset. And throughout this entire thing happened, I did not even realize what happened. I was shattered, and I was sad, and my wife was just, she was consoling me all the time. And when this wedding was concluded, after 4 5 days, I met my friends. And they was like, dude, your father, he handled that situation pretty well. And we could not see a single emotion of stress on his face. And I was like, what? Although I know my father, and this is the greatest thing which I yet need to learn from him. It's not about the money, but it's about the moment, and we all have been waiting for that moment. We could not even expect that this would happen. So in that situation also, my father he really stood well, and he did not take much of a stress, and he handled it well, I would say. But now the question comes, if I'm not someone who's mature enough, or who has not learned like something like this, because even if someone is 45, 50, 60 years old, they find themselves strong in such kind of situations. Now for those, I think I have a one solution for all of you. And since I took one example from my father, I have another example from my mother. And I did not know whatever she told me was scientifically proven also. Years back, when I was preparing for my examinations, I was studying. I found myself in a place where I used to get irritated very early, and most of the time I would just get angry if something happens. I would not even hesitate to shout. And then one day, my mother sat me down and she said that whenever something like that happens again in life, and you are so angry, and you just feel like you're going to destroy everything, you don't want to listen to anything, she gave me the biggest advice of my life. She said that if you're angry and if something again happens in your life like this, all you have to do is just step back, set aside, and first make yourself calm. Wait for at least 30 minutes and then come back, and whatever you wanted to say, now say it. And something magical happened. I realized that whatever I was planning to say earlier, it did not make any sense at all. And if I would have said that, probably I would just risk my relation, my my friendship, everything. And that was a moment I realized that was the greatest advice I could have from my mother. And since then, I always have tried to follow this advice. I still fail sometimes, but believe me, that works. And recently, when I was reading about this human behavior and how we control and how we react in such situations, I came across to this one person, and what she mentioned was quite similar to my mom. And she mentioned that whenever two people are in a state of amygdala hijack, and they're just arguing with each other, probably the next thing they're going to say is not wise, and they might have already lost it. And if they say something, they are definitely going to ruin it. So, next time when you have lost your mind and the other person you are arguing has also lost his mind, and you both feel that this amygdala hijack has happened, it's better to walk away from that situation. First, calm yourself down and then come back to the situation. And then later on, after some time, you take a break, you can speak about it, you can discuss about it. And that is going to resolve half of your problem, believe me. And I've tried it as well. Be it your relationship, be it your friendship, be it anything, your office thing, whenever you're frustrated, you just want to say out loud something, just follow this advice and most of the things will be settled down. Now, if I talk about any other situation where the, like it went to extreme, such as let's assume you are walking into the woods and you see a tiger in front of you, probably you're going to find yourself freezed in the moment. Anyway, that's not going to help you as well. But if you ask me, I'm sorry, I have not been into such situation. I might not be the right person to give you the solution for that. So until I find a solution for this situation, I would say just keep thinking about your life and rewire your brain, and hopefully we'll find some other ways to live a better life. See ya. Thank you so much.